Right. I'm assuming I'm live. I'm just going to check on this phone to make sure it's all coming through. I've had some epic problems recently, so just bear with me while I make sure that it's all working. Is that working? It should be working. I'm assuming it is all working. So if anyone's here, just let me know. I've not gone all weird like I did last time, so I'm going to do this one just for an hour because, well, I mean, I appreciate you probably didn't get an hour's worth last time. I think I must have just been talking to myself for a fair amount of time on that last live stream. So I've defragged my computer, disk cleanup, upgraded the graphics drivers, not the cards obviously, because I'm a cheapskate. So hopefully that's all we need, and I won't need to shell out any actual money on this old machine that I've got here. It's like one of my kids. In many ways, it's my first kid. This computer here. I built it 12 years ago. First generation i7. There's only so far it can go. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not prepared to part with it yet. All right, I'm not prepared to part with it yet. Right. So I mean, let's just have a little overview of what's been going on here, and get rid of that. So I mean, all of this now really is in my opinion. On the Telegram yesterday, I hadn't paid any attention to stocks. I'd just been completely absorbed in cryptocurrency and just not even looked at stocks in a while, in a long time, to be honest with you. Because when I did look, I was surprised, and I came onto the Telegram and I said, stocks are looking really bad, really bad. So this was basically the Nasdaq. If we have a look at this on the weekly. It shows a really nasty picture. All right, so 3 weeks in a row. But this here, if we close this, obviously it closes tomorrow. If we close this tomorrow below this 20 weekly moving average, we all know a little bit now, I'm sure, of technical analysis. We all know what a 20 weekly represents an uptrend or a downtrend, basically. Now, obviously, this was the COVID crash, right? So what that was shock. That was a shock. The market was shocked, right? Panic selling, shock into the market, and then the V-shaped recovery we're all so well aware of, which has been basically, pushed by the Fed and everything, but. So this one doesn't really count. This was an economic projection and then economic recovery on paper, and this could now very well be the economic reality coming home, because, well, I mean, you just need to walk down the street, don't you? I mean, they're not the same. The economy is not the same. I'm not saying it's like absolutely wrecked completely, but it's just not healthy. All right, it's not healthy, and it doesn't represent moves like this across the board. So economic reality could be coming home for traditional markets, and if we all speak about Bitcoin, and it would become apparent that a lot of people do refer to Bitcoin as the store of value, the ultimate hedge, right? But that's fine. But a hedge doesn't necessarily mean that it goes up as everything goes down. That's not really the hedge. I mean, the hedge is that you can draw upon that value when you need it. And if this ends up being, I suppose, a downtrend, which technically could become more than a recession, I suppose more of a depression, then yeah, people are going to need to draw upon that crypto. So you're going to see a correlation between the two. Now, if for whatever reason Bitcoin doesn't, it is for whatever reason decoupled from this, then it would be the making of Bitcoin. It would be the making of crypto. It would be amazing. But I'm not really seeing it. I don't think that that's possible. And actually, while we're here, we'll just we'll have a look at gold. Actually, we've seen enough of the Nasdaq, haven't we? We don't need to look at that anymore. Let's just have a look at plain old gold. Wrecked. It's basically wrecked. So I mean, the store of value here is being drawn upon in the fear of what is to come. So this should be, I suppose, a little bit of an insight as to what could quite easily be possible with Bitcoin in the near future. So if you have a look at all of these charts together, I mean, there's one that stands out as a lot healthier than all the others, which is Bitcoin. Actually, definitely is. Bitcoin is definitely healthier. I mean, we're looking at these. This is a weekly chart, broken down beneath the 50 moving average, worse than the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's only just gone beneath the center of the Bollinger Band, so gold is worse. This is a really nasty looking picture for gold. Nasdaq's second worst, and Bitcoin's actually holding up okay, all things considered. I mean, it's not all that bad. Now I didn't make a video today. Been too busy to do that, but one of our members of the, not just the Patreon, but the quite a prevalent member of the Telegram, pointed out to me that if we have a look here, what we've got is a conversion baseline cross taking place on the daily. So what this normally means, and I shouldn't say normally, what this means is that this is the end of this trend. So we all got excited, me included, saying, well, we've got a conversion baseline cross over here with Bitcoin. So that is the start of a trend, in theory. And it was. But now this would signify the end of a trend. So that's basically what seems to be taking place here. It's not confirmed yet, but it looks like it's going to be sealed. And obviously, breaking down below there, it doesn't necessarily need to do that. This cross could take place at this level right now. We could even go higher and still have that negative cross. So Ichiclouds are good for signals anyway. It's the only indicator that I use as signals. The rest everything's lagging indicators. That's a lagging indicator, but it does offer signals, and that's why I always use it. So a lot of people in here today. So I mean, to be honest, because it's only an hour's job, what I'll do is I'll just flick through some of these comments and we'll have a look at some charts for what they're worth. But I think what I wanted to come across, what I wanted to get across is, unlike my normal Patreon live streams where I go through charts for everybody and I try to get to everybody, I appreciate I don't always get through to everybody. This one, I suppose, is like an extended video where you guys are all here and we can all have a chat as well, and I will have a look at things. But I just needed to get that out there, that this situation with Bitcoin is actually looking okay, but we do look as though we are going to begin a downtrend now. Well, we've already begun it, really. Now, there is one other component to this, which is that from what I understand is over this weekend, that's when the stimulus package will be signed and sealed and delivered. Won't be handed out to everybody, obviously, but that in itself should offer some relief to all of these assets, everything that we've just looked at. So stocks, commodities, and Bitcoin and crypto in general, right? So that should happen. That's close to $2 trillion worth of stimulus that's just going to be handed out, to everybody. Just there you go, take it. That would be, in my opinion, the last hoorah before the downtrend then picks up pace, because there's really, I cannot see how. I'm not saying they couldn't, but I really don't see how it would be a likely scenario for them to have any more stimulus packages. I think this is the final little sticky plaster on the gaping wound, and then they're just going to really just hope that everybody gets their jabs, the economy comes back to life, and then they can pick up where they were beforehand, which it wasn't a great place. I have to say, it wasn't a great place anyway. This bubble has been a long time in the making, since I finished university in the original recession. So it's been a long time in the making, and this bubble has grown and grown and grown, and then it's been amplified by this entire COVID situation, to the point where it really is about to pop. I think it might even be popping as we speak now. So I'm not looking to fearmonger anything. Let's look at things in a crypto perspective. We've got Bitcoin here out of those three charts we looked at, Nasdaq, gold, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin's holding up extremely well, like very, very, very well, and biggest gainer out of all of them. So we've definitely, if there's a market to be in, I think we're all in the right market. Very unlikely that we're going to come back down to square one. Extremely unlikely. If anything, the target would be the 20 weekly, which is down here at about 20. Well, we're not going to come down there immediately, but if we did touch there, it's roughly 30,000, roughly speaking. Obviously, if we break down from below there, then obviously the the party is over for a prolonged period of time. But I'd be very surprised if that happens. Anyway, we're speculating here, and let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This is one of the main things that I would always say, and I've been saying for a while, is that the Bitcoin bottom, if we do go bearish, the Bitcoin bottom for me, I will look at it when this money flow index hits this trend line, and then we could think about that being a potential bottom. But as far as a price is concerned, this isn't going to give us a price. This is going to give us, you know, an educated guess as to perhaps maybe we bounce from here. This is a weekly money flow index. It's not moving any time fast. You know, it's not going to give us an entry point, you know, for leverage or anything. It's just going to give us a ballpark figure of where that entry point would be. And obviously, you know, this is uptrending. You know, if we end up going in a downtrend, you know, a trickle down downtrend, you know, that takes many weeks, maybe a couple of months, then, you know, the price doesn't necessarily need to go a great deal down. Or you can see it's just ticked down a little bit. Interesting stuff. Anyway, like I say, this whole situation is an economic one rather than a crypto one. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments then, shall we? Right, I'm assuming everything's all good and I'm not going all weird and max headroom like Uncle Rich told me, which I appreciate. I didn't know. I didn't think anyone in my generation knew max headroom. Right. One more dip to accumulate more. Well, I mean, for me personally, I'm going to be playing it safe. All right, we've had a really good run, haven't we, this last year? And those who've been in this longer than that, this has basically been a dream. Hopefully we've made some decent amounts. So my initial thoughts are to not be greedy and to try and protect what I have earned throughout this. Well, for me personally, it's been about 3 years. It's been 3 years to get to this level, and I do not want to see it wiped out. Not that I'm not saying it's going to get wiped out, but I do not want to take anything. I don't want to make any rash decisions and buy dips when we are looking at something that could end up really, honestly, it could end up being bigger than anyone, I suppose, can imagine. Yeah, it could be really big. A bubble pop for traditional markets is a big deal. But I'm not saying that we're there right now. Like I say, stimulus package still yet to come out. But shortly after, at some point this year, I'm pretty sure something's going to happen. And to be honest, it feels like it's in the making at the moment. Looks like Wall Street are calling Biden's bluff at the moment. So, you know, let's have a look. Thanks. Luna. Let's have a look at that. So for those who aren't member of the Patreon, this is basically what we do. We sit around and look at charts. Now this one obviously is not very old. I can't really talk about stuff that's not this old. I have to say though, it does look quite good. It's above all major moving averages. All moving averages more or less in the same place. No 200 exponential, so it's a young chart, so I don't really have that to go by. At the end of the day, we're looking at something that could end up destroying the market, but for a period of time. So for me to say this is good and this is bullish, I couldn't say, but it is moving in the face of Bitcoin. Let's just have a look at that little tiny retracement. It's not too small. It's not too big either, really. It's looking good. It is looking good. Let's face it. MACD turning up. There's nothing to worry about on these oscillators. It looks okay, but again, you know, I am not in any way promoting the purchase of any kind of cryptocurrency at this moment in time. Let's face facts. In many ways, it's much better to sit on the fence in some of these instances and to see what happens. Remember the March crash, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen. For those who remember it, right? It looks tiny now. It looks really small in comparison to it. It was nasty, right? It was nasty. So things can happen fast with cryptocurrency. Things have happened very fast in the past. Things happened fast here. Things happen fast here. Things can happen very fast, all right? The tide can turn very fast. So let's just be careful, all right? Let's not get greedy. When we are looking down the barrel of a gun, you know, let's try and play it safe. But Luna, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, it looks okay. If it wasn't for this whole situation, you know, the ground, you know, crumbling beneath our feet potentially, I would say that it's a good chart with a nice little setup there. Right, let's have a look at FET. Yeah, let's have a look at FET because I am still holding on to my FET. Reason being is that the chart has not yet told me to get out. So entry point was down here. and we're looking for the Chiku span for touch price action or the negative cross. We almost got that the other day though, so we could be looking at a potential top area, but as far as this indicator is concerned, it's not telling us to get out anytime soon. Until it tells us to get out, I won't get out of it. I'm up quite a significant amount, obviously, and I'm prepared to see that go down because I trust this indicator so much that I'm not going to guess a top. I will get out when the indicator tells me to get out. And actually, if you look at these, the rest of the situation we've got here is turning up, and still it really does want to have another push. It does. It really does want to have another push. So if Bitcoin can hold on to itself for a little longer, then I need to keep my Bitcoin chart up in the corner of my eye just to see what's going on with that. If Bitcoin can hold itself up throughout today, tomorrow, and the weekend, where I understand that the stimulus package should be sealed, plus obviously Nasdaq and traditional markets don't trade over the weekend, we should be looking for some bullish move. And actually, if we look at the state of the Bitcoin dominance chart, it is still bearish, so who knows what will happen to alts particularly. We're not really entirely sure. We've clearly got another bounce here though on this trend line, which is normally where we hedge into Bitcoin as a result, so it could signify that alts are about to get completely wrecked if Bitcoin gets wrecked. So that's what this bounce could signify. But again, at the moment nothing technically has happened. It's just a matter of limiting risk. It's a pretty negative live stream this evening, isn't it? Sorry about that. But for me personally, I've still got every single penny of my FET riding because I trust this indicator. That might be naive of me, given the monologue that I started this live stream with, but yeah, I trade charts, right? And at the moment, this chart is still okay to be traded, considering I bought in, down. Well, yeah, it was just over 5 cents. I'm obviously, happy to let it ride a little further. I'm not looking to take profits on this one. Unlike a lot of my other alts where I have been taking profits on the way up, they were designed, and I got in on those on different indicators. This one was purely a perfect indicator. This is why I used it as a tutorial on my Patreon. I said, look, this is a perfect setup here, and we will trade this one until it tells us to get out. So I put my money where my mouth is, and I will only trade. I'll trade it until it tells me to get out. Right. So yeah, I still like it. Like I say, I'm not saying it's going to make another high or anything like that. It could do. It wants to, but will it be allowed to? Is the problem. It's obviously very volatile as well. Why? This one I sold, unfortunately. I took a significant loss on this one, so I got excited on this uptrend. I must have bought around here at this entry point. Yeah, so I took a decent loss on this one, and I'm not. I don't regret it either. This was a significant drop. Terrible, in fact, it was horrendous. And looking at it now, I have no reason to believe it's going to pick up here on this daily. It's below all major moving averages. Again, it's a young chart, which is something I wouldn't normally trade. It's a young chart, no 200 exponential on that one. So I think it's wrecked. Basically, I do think it's wrecked. Even without the FUD of the entire world kicking in, I think this chart is wrecked. There's nothing bullish about this chart, so I can't condone it. And like I say, I had to sell at a decent loss, to be honest. A decent loss. So yeah, that one's gone, and I never want to see it again. Never want to see that one again. H-bar. Let's have a look. So I'm never gonna be able to get around to everybody's comments on there today. Right. Well, that was a rare delight. So this is the behaviour that takes place on this coin, isn't it? We have a big move up and a consolidation, big move up, consolidation, huge drops down, and a big move up. Jesus, that's one hell of a move. Now I don't know what caused that, but as far as this chart's concerned, it looks like it wants more, but given the behaviour that's taken place here over the recently, I would expect it to come down. So especially given what I'm saying about everything, I would expect it to come down again. That's how it's behaved in the past, down to the green 50, down to the centre of the Bollinger Band. This one was just crazy from the bottom to the top. I would expect it to come down, but as far as the chart is concerned, I'm not particularly bearish over the way it appears. It looks pretty good, in all fairness. It looks really good. We got a conversion baseline crossover here. We've not had a negative one since, oh yeah, we did actually, but now we've just got a positive one. So this is a weird scenario here. It's a weird setup because we do have a positive cross on the Ichimoku cloud, and actually it's a really, if we trust this one for, you know, as a cross, which I don't know as I can really believe it, because we had a massive wick down and since a really big move up. If we take that cross as a signal in itself, it means that there's an uptrend. An uptrend is starting as of midnight last night. So that could have, you know, maybe perhaps corresponded to this kind of move. I don't know how many major players use the Ichimoku cloud, but maybe more than I think. It is a good indicator. I wouldn't know why they wouldn't use it, but yeah, we've got that cross there. So that and above the cloud is bullish. So if you really wanted to go ahead with it and take that risk, this has now got a decent signal for a continuation of a trend from this point forward. But given the way that it looks, it does look like it. You know, in the past, it wants to come back down to at least test the center of the Bollinger Band, the 20 daily, or maybe even lower. I would wait for an entry point, and if you miss it, you miss it. If you go in now, be prepared for a bit of pain. But you know, risk to reward is that's up to you to balance, isn't it? Not for me. But yeah, I like it. It looks all right. EOS. Oh, dare I have a look at EOS? Dare I even look at it in the face? So yeah, rejected here from this from actually the top of the accumulation zone. So we're back into that accumulation zone. It's like a running joke, isn't it? EOS is back in the accumulation zone and being rejected from there again, and also being pushed down by this 10 exponential moving average, and has a negative cross on the Ichimoku cloud, and it's hanging on for dear life really on the green 50 exponential. Center of the Bollinger Band is curving down, not looking good. Unfortunately, it's really not looking good for it at this point now. It's looking like it wants to continue with its move back down into the accumulation zone, where we come back all over again. Now the thing that we saw here on the weekly was a conversion baseline crossover here, which, you know, is good on the weekly. But if the market decides it wants to come down and push this down, that's not going to work out. Unfortunately for EOS, you know, unless it for whatever reason does decouple from the entire market, it's at the mercy of the entire market. And because it was such a late coin from pushing off, it appears to have completely missed out on the majority of the bull market. And when it finally got ready to do it, the bull market was ended. So, well, it's not ended. Like, I'm not saying the bull market's ended. So don't go crazy and making rash decisions. I'm not saying the bull market's ended at all. Who knows? Bitcoin could continue up as the rest of the traditional markets go down. It's holding up extremely well in comparison to gold and stocks right now. So let's not make any assumptions. Just because it's behaved in a similar way in the past doesn't mean that it's going to continue to behave that way. And also, one thing I just thought I'd mention: if we look at the Dixie here, we've come up to test the magic number 91.6. 91.6 for me has always been the bottom of this resistance zone or support zone, and we were rejected from it there. We were rejected possibly from it here. So that might be all that you get for the Dixie for the moment, until the stimulus packages comes out and knocks that down again. And then, in the event of an actual economic recession, this probably will go up a little bit, in all fairness. But for the moment, that could actually be it. So, yeah, weekly still looks okay, but I'm splitting hairs on it now. But it's still, that signal is still good to go. And on the weekly, it's not too bad. But on the daily, we're more or less back to square one. It's a bigger accumulation zone, to be honest. We are above the green 50. If it got much worse, the 200 exponential would be the last stop for me. And even if we came down to test that, I'd be extremely disappointed. But again, I probably would go long there. I probably would. But yeah, it's not looking good for it, unfortunately. Sorry for that, EOS. And Wax, never heard of it. Let's have a peep. Not coming up there. what is the BTC level of dominance impact on alts? Well, it basically just shows the market cap of Bitcoin versus everything else combined. And if we see this chart go up, it means that money is leaving the other alts to go into Bitcoin, or Bitcoin is gaining more money in comparison to alts. So if we start to see an uptrend take place on this, it means that you're better off. Yeah, it's a generalization, but you're better off in Bitcoin than you would be in alts. Safer, and that could be safer in a downtrend as well as an uptrend, but if this breaks down and if this continues to go down, it basically means that the market cap of Bitcoin is shrinking compared to alts, and we all know how fast and big alts move because their market caps are a lot smaller, so it takes a lot less money for them to move bigger, which is the appeal to a lot of these altcoins, isn't it? So basically, what we've been in here now for quite a while now is this sort of zone, this little area here where it doesn't know whether it wants to break down from here, which would be excellent because this is a long-term support zone over many years, several years. And if we broke down from there, it would be really good for altcoins. But we don't seem to be breaking down from there. I mean, you get these wicks, they don't count. If we bounce from here, which is what we have done every single time, it means that alts either get hurt a little bit more, generally speaking, or that Bitcoin is gaining more, generally speaking. But the situation of this entire chart is bearish. It's just that this support line here is extremely strong and it doesn't want to give up easily. Life, not jabs. Oh, let's not start on this kind of thing, alright? SXP. Let's have a look. Sorry guys, I'm eating into this precious hour by not typing correctly. So SXP, as it stands, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not particularly good either. I have taken half my profits on this one now, so I've got the rest, just half of it riding at the moment, and I'm happy to leave it ride on the back of the persistent tweets that come from SXP about the swipe swap, and any other development that might take place and launch it up to what we all expect is to be to get close to its all-time high again. But on the chart alone, not particularly strong, to be honest. We are above most moving averages, but we are below the center of the daily Bollinger Band, which is not a good situation to be in. But like I say, I still think that this weekend has still got opportunity in it. And if it doesn't have opportunity in it, it would be a sign in itself that the sentiment is changing quite rapidly. Maybe moving into a miniature, maybe not that miniature, but maybe moving into a bear market. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So on the 4 hourly, it looks okay. A lot of alts were looking like this, so they're trying to re-establish an uptrend. And the 4 hourly is just about hanging on to dear life at this moment here, above the green 50, above the center of the Bollinger Band, and just being rejected, I suppose, from the 20 EMA, which is that skinny little grey one. I'm splitting hairs really. Overall, I don't really, to be honest with you, like the look of it either. I don't really like the look of it either. I am holding on to this for dear life, which I suppose that's exactly what hodling is, isn't it? That is exactly what hodling is. I don't know about you guys, but I got in on this one on this uptrend here that was below here. So I am still happy to hold to an extent. My break even would be about $1, so it's still okay, but I am feeling a little uneasy about it. The indicators aren't really making me feel in any way hopeful about it. So SXP is not looking particularly good. Will XRP dip? In my opinion, everything is going to dip, in my opinion, if Bitcoin dips. But XRP's had a good day, hasn't it, today? Let's have a look at that. So XRP's trying to move, but it is even though it's up for the day, it's still bearish for the chart. We're getting curvatures now take place on this moving average here. The center of the Bollinger Band is now facing down, so this would be the start of an established downtrend if we get rejected and continue to be rejected from here, which it looks like we more or less did here. So yeah, I'm not particularly fond of the way that this chart looks at all, and given my expectations of what is likely to happen over the next 24 hours perhaps, it's probably going to continue to go down. It's going to go down with the market. It's not going to perform in any other way. The chart is a real mess, I have to say, but overall, on the weekly, on the long term, on the absolute long term, which is the way I've done my initial analysis on this one, I actually still like it because I believe in this market cycle. Look at this. So it's all the way down, bum 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 bum, and then starting to step up. Now this, unfortunately, has been manipulated, not by whales and crazy things, but by officials. We've got the SEC lawsuit here, all the way down. We've got the pump group all the way up. So the chart shouldn't really look like this. So and because the chart shouldn't look like this, it makes it harder to trade. It makes a lot of these signals and indicators that I use not obsolete, but hard to put my trust in them. So if we look at what we've got here, we've got a conversion baseline cross on the weekly chart, which is normally a really strong signal, a signal that would be like, let's trade this with all our might. For the long term, let's go. This is the one. Because this would mean a trend beginning from this zone here, from this week, on a long-term sustained uptrend. That's what it would normally mean. But how has it been formed? Right, it got formed from a FUD from the SEC and a pump from the retailers. So can I believe that? Can I put my trust in that? No, because both of these moves down and up were caused by they weren't organic moves. So I can't put my trust in this chart really. But what I can still put my trust in is the long-term analysis I did on the market cycle, which would suggest this will continue to go up over time. The end of this year, by the summertime, it would be worth looking at some decent accumulation periods if you can get them. Wherever the price might be higher than this, might be lower than this. It might probably going to be exactly the same place, isn't it? But wherever it is, the market cycle will begin to heat up after May. So not too far away, actually, thinking about it now. Not too far. Right. Is everything still working? Let me just check. No one's sent me any messages yet. I'm assuming it's still working. Let me just check here. Still working. What does this mean? Oh, I've been atted. Right. Right. Give you FOMO. EOS. What does that even mean? Reef. I can't really. Alright, I'll look at Reef. Everybody wants me to look at Reef. I feel like I'm missing out on something here. What is the big deal with Reef? It's a tiny chart, so it makes it really difficult for me to give any. Oh yeah, we did have something in here, didn't we? Yeah. All right. So on the last live stream a couple of days ago, yeah, this is obviously what we looked at. Descending channel. They often break to the up, and this one's already broken to the up. So as far as that concerned, that was what we were going by, I suppose. That's obviously why I've got that little. It's not very neat, is it? But yeah. So yeah, the descending channel broke to the up like they normally do 70% of the time. So if we've broken out of this one now, are we going to be looking for new highs? Well, normally I would say we probably will. We've reclaimed all moving averages on the daily. That's looking good. This pullback from here, if we're trading it on the 4-hourly chart, which is where we're going to get most of our information because the daily doesn't offer us much, it seems like a worthy place for it to be rejected. Essentially the top of the Bollinger Band. That's how these things like to behave. Look, getting out, sucked back in, out, sucked back in. You look for an entry point, I suppose, if you really desperately wanted to trade this one. If you're desperate to do it, then you'd get your entry point. At this point now, we've gone into a bullish mode, and you would try and get in on this 10 exponential on the 4-hourly. That's how I would try and do it if you were desperate to do it. And there's nothing to worry about on any of the oscillators, so I'm alright with it. But yeah, the move has been made out of breaking out of here. So yeah, fair play to whoever drew that. sarcasm there. That was obviously me. I just forget what I do as soon as I do them. Reef, FET, Ocean, EOS, SXP. Well, we've looked at half of those, haven't we? Should we look at Ocean? Ocean, I imagine, is going to suffer a little bit because it did a pump the other day. Was it yesterday or the day before? Because it was getting released on Qcoin or something crazy like that, so people were pumping it, which I was surprised to see that it was actually able to get a pump out of an exchange outside of Binance or Coinbase listing. But it did. If we have a look at how we're doing now, we're above the centre of the Bollinger Band, so more bullish than most, in a better position, I'd say, than most. I wouldn't say we're particularly bullish. In a better position on the chart than most. But it will be at the mercy of the market. So is it going to have a sustained uptrend from here? Well, did we get the conversion baseline cross wasn't perfect. We got one here beneath the cloud. But it's been positive the entire time, and now it's just gone negative. So the end of that trend, what we could hope for is that the market actually goes sideways and doesn't dump crazy. I'm not even suggesting that it's going to dump like tonight or tomorrow or anything like that. I'm actually still relatively positive about the short term, next few weeks. I think there's going to be some pumps, but we have to respect what the rest of the market do, the traditional markets are doing, and if they decide that they want to continue dumping or crash even, then it will bring all this down. But if that doesn't happen, looking at this chart here, I would if I just focus on this chart and don't think about anything else, which is I suppose what I'm supposed to do, then we are above the centre of the Bollinger Band, which is good. This negative cross signifies the end of a trend that began down here, although that trend wasn't perfect because it was beneath the cloud. So all we could hope for now is the cross to take place again. This would be the first Ichimoku cloud on the daily chart that was crossed above the cloud with a Chiku span above price action. That would be really bullish from here, and it would signify a trend from that level. So that is a bullish case I would put for it. I would wait for that signal, and that signal could take place quite easily if we can sustain price action above the centre of the Bollinger Band, so above $1 basically, and then I'd be pretty confident that this would continue up if I ignore the madness which is going on in the rest of the world. So yeah, I like it for what it is, and obviously I'm not going to be selling mine because you all know, or those who watch my channel and stuff, you all know that I basically just accumulate this blindly at more or less any level, and so it's my hodl. This is an official hodl of mine. I will hodl it until its dream is realised, which I expect it will be one day, and it'll be and it'll work out. Right, let's have a look. So we've got 20 minutes to go. Do you have stop losses on your permanent holdings? No, because I'm not in an enormous amount of things. So just very briefly, this is how I trade spot. All right, so forget about the other things that I do. This is how I trade spot. I have some things that I get in on early enough, like you've seen with FET, and I'll go in on that one quite hard because I've got confidence in that chart. That chart's going to work out really well for me. I'll just be confident in it, and if it doesn't work out for me, I'll take the hit and I'll sell it manually. But I don't go in hard on things that I'm not confident about. If I'm not confident in something, I generally, I might play a little bit, but I never use stop losses with spot. Some things on spot, like yesterday I bought into some Atom, I got a nice pump out of it, I sold that, and this is all part of me having available tether. I need that tether available, so I catch an entry, I get in it, sell it, get in it, sell it, and I got my tether back. But no, I'd never use a stop loss on anything on spot. Now, margin, yeah, very tight stop loss. I've got it all automatically set up on Bityard, where I basically would lose 10%. As soon as 10% is gone, and that's 10% including my margin, my leverage, which doesn't take much, then it automatically stops out. And having that automatically set up that way forces me to only do margin when I'm as confident as I can be, and not be all willy-nilly. And I have that set up in that specific way, and never deviate from it ever. That is like a law, basically. It's like I will never change that. that is my process, so it's very different on margin. But with spot, nah, no way. I feel like I'm in control of it. I like to do it manually, and if if things are going the wrong way, I just have to pull the plug on it. Right. What do I think of Coty? I think we had a look at this the other day. Haven't they just done something with Apple or something like that? So yeah, it's a really good chart. It's a good chart. Yeah, it doesn't care about what's going on in the world. This one just doesn't care at all. It's really bullish, and it's continuing to remain bullish. But it's like everything. How bullish can it be? And when will it come to an end? We're not overextended on the daily in any way. I mean, the MACD is pretty high in all fairness, but it can always go higher. If we have a look at this, if you really wanted to go into this one, you have to wait for your entry point. You don't go buying in blindly. You wait for an entry point, and it's got a relationship. You know, the candle bodies have a relationship with the 10 exponential here, but the wicks certainly like to violate that all the time. So yeah, I mean, the chart's good. I like it. It's set up quite nicely. And did we get a conversion baseline cross? I think we might have done. Yeah, we did. We got one back down here. Price action above the cheeky span above price action. So in every way, you've got divergences of moving averages here. You've got respecting the upper moving averages, and you've also got the Ichimoku cloud, which is far from cancelling out this uptrend. So, you know, in a perfect world, this will continue. This should continue. But buying in at these levels, you'd be mad to do it. You'd want to get in at the 10 exponential is what I'd expect it to do at some point. Whether that comes down to the 10 exponential or the 10 exponential comes up to the price action, it's going to go. They will meet again, and you'll just have to be patient. Right. Which indicator did you talk about that you trust? Oh, it's the Ichimoku cloud. It's the only indicator that I use that I would use on signals. Everything else I use don't give me signals. They are indicators. They're all lagging. The MACD, the RSI, the money flow index, the moving averages. They're all telling me something that's already happened on the chart according to so is the Ichimoku cloud. Everything is related to time, price, and volume. All indicators are a combination of those things in some way or another. But the Ichimoku cloud is built up in a specific way that gives you a set of laws that you have to abide by, and if you trust those laws and if you trust that indicator, you know, it works out pretty well a lot of the time. But you have to respect what it's telling you, and you have to do it right. If you're on my Patreon, there's a tutorial on it, and I use FET as an example, and we can all see what happened with FET. So I showed that. Well, look, we've got a perfect signal here. This is a perfect one. We go in here, and so far I'm still in it, and 5x up at the moment, and counting. Hopefully, it's a great indicator, and the best thing about it is it tells you when to get out as well. You're not left there hanging. It doesn't tell you to get out at the top, nor does it tell you to get in at the bottom. It tells you to get in where a trend has been established, and it tells you to get out when a trend has effectively ended. So yeah, it's a good one. I would definitely recommend using that one for any trader, and it's not as crazy and as weird as it. You know, it looks weird, but it's actually relatively simple to use. It's daunting to look at it to start with. Go on my Patreon, you'll find the tutorial, and hopefully it'll make sense to you. And I'll help you understand it if you need it. It's very valuable. Okay, sorry I'm late. Oh, Robin, you're right. Well, to be honest with you, I've only got 15 minutes left. This is only a little quick job. H-bar, we've looked at H-bar. It looks okay. It looks good, but it's blown its top off. It's good. I can't remember exactly what I said about it, but you'll have to go back and have a look. Theta, let's have a look. Right, so yeah, I mean the chart is great here. Conversion baseline over here, so a new trend began right here, and it's still going, but we're floating outside of the Bollinger Band here on the daily. It'll probably want to get brought back in. I've had some. I mean, everything had this dip in it, didn't it? This one is defying Bitcoins and the markets personal issues at the moment, so it's not really bothered about those guys. This one looks like it wants to continue to ramp up, but obviously being outside the Bollinger Band is usually not a great place to be. Same thing with the weekly outside the Bollinger Band. So the 4 hourly, let's have a look at that. So the 4 hourly, we do have a relationship with the 10 exponential. So yeah, I mean, we've been given that opportunity more or less twice today. We launched from it here. We launched from it here. That's a spinning top, so maybe it does come down a little further. It's bullish though, and I do like the chart. So if in a perfect world where, like I say, where fire-breathing dragons aren't burning down our entire portfolio, then this one would be a decent one to get in on one of these entry points. Yeah, Richard did the gardening, clearly did the gardening, and has wrecked everything. Play it safe means play stop loss, take profits. Play it safe is keep more than you would normally have in tether, in case. So if you're in profit, right, which I hope you are, then take some of the profit. I'm not saying this is what you should do. Everybody should have their own strategy. Shouldn't necessarily copy what I think is a good strategy. My strategy works for me. My strategy is more about risk management than it is about making, the biggest gains. I don't look at every single token out there. I mean, these live streams help me a lot because people have forced me to look at stuff I would never look at normally, and sometimes I take them up on the opportunities that have been presented to me. But for me, it's all about risk management. And if the world is looking a bit unsteady and unstable, and traditional markets are coming down and breaking down beneath the 20 weekly moving averages and things like that, it makes me a little nervous about the entire health of the market. So not that I would look at a chart and go, well, this is a great setup, like we've seen a few of them already. We say, oh, that's a great setup. Normally in a perfect world I go, well, what's the market like? What's Bitcoin like? Is Bitcoin looking okay? Is Bitcoin going sideways? Is it downtrending? What's the situation with Bitcoin dominance? Are altcoins looking to pull back? Are they still in full swing? And you put all these things in the back of your head, and then at that point, then you look at this chart and go, all right, this chart I could trade because given given everything else that I've thought about, whether that's the price of the Dixie, the dominance chart, the Bitcoin as well, then it gives more. This chart would have more relevance, and I would trust it more, and I would have more in. I would put more in, but because a lot of those other things now aren't apparent. So we've got the Dixie bouncing, we've got Bitcoin dominance could possibly be bouncing, so that's not a good thing. We've got Bitcoin technically doing a little bit of a dump, also at the end of a trend on this conversion baseline here, so that's not good either. We've got stocks and things also. Basically for me it means that I would like to take some money out of this market but still remain in it, but have less riding. That's playing it safe. It's not about stop losses. It's about how much I'm willing to invest in the market at this time, when the market, in my opinion, could there's no definites, could end up going into a downtrend, right? So I just play with less than I would do normally. That's all it is. And I take some of my profits and I keep them as profits, and they sit there waiting for a better, more ripe opportunity to get back involved. XLM. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not looking good for XLM either. It's actually looking pretty nasty here. Not overly bearish, but the pressure is on. So we got the centre of the Bollinger Band is now curving down, which isn't the worst thing. Well, we've curved down in the past, but now it's curving down. We're stuck beneath all the major moving averages here, and being rejected up here from you can either call it the 20 simple, which you can barely see. There's this little skinny one, and the 10 exponential. They're both more or less at the same place, offering a really heavy area of resistance here. Breaking above there should end up coming up to 45, but if it doesn't come up to there, if we don't break above here, we won't be getting to 45 anytime soon. A break above this level, 42.50, would likely see a move straight up to there. But yeah, the pressure is down on this one, just on those moving averages, and this MACD is not particularly bearish at the moment. I would class this as a redistribution zone normally, because they're not steep, and actually they are converging a little bit here. You can see the histogram ticking up, which basically means that, you know, regardless of it, you know, having a negative cross and it's coming down, it's not the worst thing in the world. But we are fast approaching this zone here, the 0 point, and once we go beneath there, we probably will start to diverge again from each other, and pick up pace on a downtrend. It's definitely one to watch. I mean, support's down on this green 50 exponential, down at around about 38 cents at the moment, but it's a difficult one. I wouldn't mind getting involved in it, trying to pick some up if we did come down to here, because we've got both the 50 simple and the 50 exponential both coming in at the same place. So we've got double support, double resistance here. So two 50s, 50 simple, 50 exponential, and we've got 21 and the 10 EMA here. So this is the trading zone, and if we think about it like that, that's basically an 11% trading zone. This is a scalping range in a way. In a way, it's a scalping range. Yeah, it's like I said, it's in the bearish portion of the daily Bollinger Band, so it's not bullish at this point now. Right, so we'll look at a few more quick. ACC. We have a look at ZIL. Yeah, let's have a look. So a little bit better than what we've just seen with XLM, but more or less the same. So this one has tried to take the next step up. So you can see we were rejected here 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row on the 10 exponential. Now we've reclaimed it, but we got smashed. We got rejected at the center of the Bollinger Band. So it's still not able to reclaim the Bollinger Band to the bullish portion, which will be the upper part of the band. Once you're beneath it, you're more likely to stay beneath it. Once you're above it, you're more likely to stay above it. So we are trying on this one. We are definitely trying. So we'll look at the 4 hours to see how that shapes up. Might offer us some insight here. So yeah, I mean, obviously we've got higher highs, higher lows, but it's not. It's still not particularly bullish here either. Fresh cross as well on the MACD there. So yeah, I mean, until we cross over into bull mode, which would be above this here, which would be about 12.5 cent, and the trading range from there to the top of there would be 20%, so not too bad if it were to reclaim there. At the moment we're not there yet, so and again, with the rest of the market feeling the way it is, I'd rather trade tokens which are in that. If you're going to go long or buy spot, I'd rather trade a token which is above the center of the Bollinger Band at this point. They're the ones who are going to have the upper hand. There'll be a lot less pressure for those guys to move up. Not saying that these things can't move up, they definitely can, but they have to pop up above here first. And so at the moment they're still in the bearish territory, even though it's not as bad as other of these some of these other tokens that we've seen, because the center of the Bollinger Band isn't yet facing down. So if you imagine moving averages, right, you imagine them with a little arrow on the end of them pointing to the direction that it wants to go, and we use moving averages as supports and resistances and of direction of trend, and if they're all diverging, which these are almost all in the right place, and if they all pointed up, which most of them are, you know, that wants to go up, that wants to go up, that's still going up, this one is basically going horizontal. It still gives the a glimmer of hope, even if we're out at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, you know, in the bottom portion, that the momentum could still potentially be up. So think about moving averages in that respect. Right, let's keep moving, because I've only got 5 minutes left. Yeah, leverage is yeah, everyone has their own way of using leverage. Mine, like I say, I'm not ashamed to admit that I use 1x leverage sometimes. Because why wouldn't you? If you're doing spot trading, right? If you're doing spot trading where there's no leverage at all, but you're quite pleased with the gains that you make out of that spot trade, why wouldn't you think, well, if I'm going to do, I don't know, coin futures or something on the token that I've already got, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to go up, but I'm not going to risk an enormous amount on it. There's no problem with a 1x. It means that your token goes up, plus you're given more tokens on the top. 1x is nothing to be ashamed of, right? And like I say, profit is profit. And then for me, I'm all about managing risk. So 1x is fine to me. Obviously, if you're doing 1x on a, on a position of $100, I mean, you're not going to see much. I might have a little bit more riding on it, but either way, yeah, it's. I don't do coin futures that much anyway. Right, ADA. Let's have a look at ADA, shall we? So yeah, it's coming down, isn't it, from its nice big top that it's formed here. So yeah, really pushed outside of the Bollinger Band, wants to come back down. This would have been your entry point, and potentially still is an entry point. The chart is still okay technically, but all charts come to an end at some point. You're getting a MACD cross here. RSI is actually is dropping a lot actually, and if we just have a look at this on its own, we've got significant bearish divergence here on the daily, and in that, I don't think that that's played out here. I think that this actually probably would come down, so I would leave it alone, even though moving averages alone would tell you that the center of the Bollinger Band is held up very well for us so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even in these massive bearish moves, 5, and then 6. You can have a stab at that, definitely. Maybe the bearish divergence has played out already, but maybe it hasn't. I mean, let's just measure that out from the top to where we are at right now. 25, 28. So I mean, this, like I say, if you wanted to stagger in to ADA, that would be an appropriate place to try it. So $1.06. But if it doesn't work out, it's because there's bearish divergence on the daily, which could bring it down. If everything decides to come down and it pulls it down more, then that bearish divergence would play out. But then would it get picked back up again? I don't know. I mean, the chart is good still. Ichimoku Cloud conversion baseline over here. Chart is still in play. As far as the uptrend is still in play with that indicator. It's not told us to get out yet. And moving averages are all diverged, and yeah, it's respecting the formation still. So you could give it a shot, I suppose, because that's worked out for it every time so far. The only problem is the bearish divergence, which may or may not have played out already. Mind you, that was, what was that, 25% was that from the top to where we are right now. So that's a fair amount. So maybe it has played out. Right, so I looked at that for you. This OGN, let's have a look at that. Jeez, you should have asked me to look at this yesterday, and you should have just told me to buy it. So I mean, I don't really know what's going on here. You could call that a cupping handle, and if that's the case, then it's performing just as a cupping handle should do, although it being a little early. But yeah, cupping handle formation, golden cross over here, dump into the golden cross, which is a standard thing these days. You get our golden crosses, we get dumps down into it, and then we just pick straight back up. Did anything happen? Did someone tweet something fantastic about this? Did Elon Musk tattoo this on his neck or something? I don't know, but something might have happened. But otherwise, I would just call it a simple cupping handle formation playing out after a golden cross. And now we also have a conversion baseline cross on the daily here, fresh one as of today. Entry points, well, I just couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell anyone to buy here. We're looking to make a candle closure, potentially the highest candle closure we've had on this entire chart, which is basically where we are at right now, 54 cents. If we can break that and close above there, maybe I would expect a small consolidation period after that, and then we could try and get in on that one, because like I say, conversion baseline, golden cross, cupping handle should have a bigger move than this in the long term, and not even that long term, but let's just see how this one plays out. But I might keep this on my radar actually, given everything that I've looked at just now. Some decent levels of confirmation there. We're using pretty much 3 different things. You've got a formation, a bullish formation, you've got a conversion baseline, Ichimoku Cloud cross there, and you've got a golden cross. and yeah, we're turning up nicely here on these oscillators. So yeah, it's a good chart, but an entry point right here, dangerous, but you know, could ultimately be fruitful. And check CRV. 10% down today, not looking too tasty. That's a pretty nasty looking chart on the daily. So you can see here that we're really, I mean, speak of curve, I mean this is living up to its reputation. This is looking really nasty here. So yeah, the centre of the Bollinger Band has really got twisted and is moving down at like a 45-degree angle here. Negative cross over here on the Ichimoku cloud, and we're moving into the cloud as well, below all major moving averages also. And it's a young chart, but this little white line here, that is the 200 exponential, has just appeared. The chart is old enough now to be given one of these. So that would be, I would be looking for that, to be honest, to be a support zone, if the worst comes to it. And if we break down below $1, we'll call it $1. We'll just call it $1.50. Then it will get even worse. I mean, it did try to pump up to the centre of the Bollinger Band. You can see how it got rejected from it though. Let's have a look at the 4-hourly just to give it justice. So we've got a death cross here on the 4-hourly here, and yeah, it's no place to be buying. It's something we just have to wait and see how it behaves. In my opinion, the way it's behaving right now is it looks like it's deep into a downtrend and it's been sold off. And did I talk about XDC? No. Have I even looked at that? XDC? Not here. Not here, mate. I've asked to have a look for a while ago for a bot power to BTC, right? Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to judge it too badly because most Satoshi charts look like that. I can see how this one might have flagged up on Bitsgap because of that move, for instance. That's the sort of thing a bot would really enjoy as of yesterday. But the chart itself, I mean, I don't know why that happened. And when things like that happen, you can look at it in two ways. And this is often the mistake I think a lot of people make when they see something like that. Some people would look at that and go, "That is excellent. Look at that. Look at what it's done. Look at it. It's unbelievable. It did a 108% move in a single day." Or you could choose to look at it as this, which is that it lost 33% of its pump in a day. It depends on which way you want to look at it, to be honest with you. I mean, someone sold up there, someone was loving it, someone bought up there, and someone's not loving it now. So it depends how you want to view these things. As far as a bot's concerned, we're going to have to look at the lower term time frames. I'll have to look at a 4-hourly. So, I mean, I personally don't really like. I mean, it's in an uptrend and has been for. Let's measure this out. Uptrend for 23 days. So it's still a baby uptrend, even though it ended like that. It's pretty spiky. And we are above, in bullish territory. So yeah, I mean, it could be a decent bot. I wouldn't start the bot here though, because we're floating outside of the Bollinger Band here after a giant sell-off from this big move here, and not even, not much took place today. I would expect this one to come down again. The moving averages haven't overtaken the center. I mean the 200 exponential, which is this white one. This white moving average here should be below everything else. That's the best way to play it. So if that is the base of all your moving averages, then you're in a good position. And all these moving averages here need to overtake that slowly but surely, and then an established uptrend would really take place. This, it's for me, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, it is in an uptrend clearly, but it's the strength of the uptrend could be completely it could just be wiped out really quickly and easily, because of the moving averages are upside down. You know, it's too early to call it an actual uptrend. It could be the beginning of an uptrend, but it's too early to actually say that it's going to be sustained. It might not be sustained because we're upside down with the moving averages. You know, the 50s here, the 200s here, the 10s there, the 20s there. They're all over the place. So keep an eye on it, certainly, but I wouldn't do it. But that could just be me, you know, protecting my my tether, because at the moment I like tether more than anything else. Anyway, that will be it, I'm afraid. It was just a quick job, a quick hourly thing, more of a test actually to see if this whole thing's working, because the last live stream I did, for some reason I went all weird. My computer went all weird. So I'm glad it's all working again. If you're not a member of the Patreon, you can join £7.50 a month. You get 2 live streams a week. They normally go on for about 2 hours. I try to answer everybody's stuff. There's tutorials and stuff like that on the Patreon if you want to use the indicators, and I'll be adding a lot more tutorials over time as well. So yeah, join the Patreon if you're not a member. £7.50 a month. You know, it's not too bad, and we do these things, like I say, twice a week. So the next live stream would normally be on Friday, but I don't see the point of doing another one tomorrow, so I'll do one on Saturday night instead. Give the market a bit of time to mature and see what takes place on Saturday, where things might have turned a bit more bullish, especially if this stimulus package gets passed over the weekend, which, from what I understand, that's the idea, that it will be passed over the weekend. So we might be looking at some bullish stuff again come Saturday anyway. So we'll tune back in on Saturday and we'll have a look then. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the Telegram, if not the Patreon. Take it easy, everybody. Now I've got to turn this off.